Good morning.
Good morning.
On 14th, 2 weeks ago, because we celebrate Buddha's Enlightenment Day, I talked about Shakyamuni Buddha's awakening. And last week, because it was the 50th anniversary of Shōhaku Roshi's death, so I talked about Shōhaku Roshi's saying. But now, today, I return to this text, opening the hand of thought. Let me start second half of the first paragraph of page 101. I read two and a half paragraphs. Page 101. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, line 6. Start. This self as an interdependent being is simply a collection of elements, but in so far as it possesses some form as a particular collection, it is not non-existence. This is the point of the scriptural passage from the Nikaya quoted earlier. Truly seeing the aggregation of the world, the view of non-existence does not arise. But if this present self is not non-existent, can we say that it is a constant entity? No. Rather, it is breaking apart and changing into a new form moment after moment. This is the meaning of truly seeing the non-substantiality of the world. The view of existence does not arise. Consequently, the Buddha said, being apart from these two extremes, the views based on existence or non-existence, the Tathagata, the Enlightened One, teaches the Dharma of the middle way. This means that our very own life cannot be grasped as an existing lump, L-U-M-P, lump, nor as non-existence. The middle way is nothing other than seeing interdependence as it is, moment by moment. It is seeing our life as it is, without being caught up in our thoughts. So this is a kind of a summarization or summary or conclusion of what he quote earlier in page 97 from the Pali Nikaya, or Chinese translation of Agama. That is what Buddha said in Nikaya is, truly seeing the aggregation of the world, the view of non-existence does not arise. Truly seeing the non-substantiality of the world, the view of existence does not arise. The view that all things exist is one extreme. The view that nothing exists is the other extreme. Being apart from these two extremes, the Tathagata teaches the Dharma of the middle way. Because this exists, that exists. Because this arises, that arises. after he quoted this saying by Shakyamuni, he discussed about the concrete examples of our life. For example, he said he took photos every several years and put all those photos until he became 60 or 70s, and he see the changes of his faces, and they are so different. So almost nothing continued within this process of changes. Or our body and mind is a collection of all different elements. When we take each element out, then nothing left. Then he says in this paragraph, these 2.5 paragraphs, that what Buddha said is not something very philosophical, but he is talking about our actual life with this concrete body and mind, or these 5 skandhas. In this section of opening the hand of thought, this is a part 6, and the title of this part is "The World of Self Unfold." And in this section, he discussed the meaning or significance of our Zazen practice in terms of the modern civilization. And basically what Okumura Roshi said is this modern civilization is based on dissatisfaction, because we don't like who we are or where we are or the condition we are living. So we make the effort, work hard, and we want to go somewhere better, or we become someone better than who I am. And this is called progress. So this modern civilization, material modern civilization based on scientific and technological development, is based on dissatisfaction and working hard to reach the goal. Because when we live in this way, then we are always being not satisfied. We think this is not good, and I'm not good enough. Therefore, we make effort. So it becomes goal-oriented. So we always think I'm not good, or our situation is not good. And also, to reach that goal as an individual goal, we have to compete with others. And we become successful or not successful. That is the nature of modern civilization based on science, technology, and economy, and politics. This civilization is very competitive and goal-oriented. That means we cannot stay here. We cannot peacefully abide at this moment, here and now, and this self. And Okumura Roshi called this kind of civilization crazy. This is crazy. We are always trying to do that thing and gain that thing, and we cannot see other aspect of our life. But Okumura Roshi said the opposition of crazy civilization is foolish. And instead of progress, the opposition is peace of mind. If we think this is not good, then we stop working hard or stop making effort. And then we can find a peace. We don't need to go anywhere else, or we can be lazy. But Okumura said that is foolish peace of mind. It's not wise. So what he in this part of this text, what Okumura is talking about is there any middle way between these crazy civilization and foolish peace of mind? Middle way. And what he, as a conclusion of his discussion, what he wants to say is this Zazen is the middle way between craziness and foolishness. And he started to discuss about Buddha's teaching, the essential point of Buddha's teaching. And essential point or basic attitude of Buddhist teaching is settle down within the self, being ourselves, to find who we really are, and staying and working with it. So we need to understand what is the self. And in that context, Dogen, not Dogen, but Okumura Roshi quote this passage from Nikaya, that is middle way between U and Mu. U is existence, and Mu is non-existence. And what Buddha said is when we see the in our life or in this world, when we see something arise or appear or being born, we become free from the view of non-existence because it's there. But when we see things perish or people die or disappear, then we negate the view of existence. So in the process of this impermanence, or changing the forms, arising, staying for a while, and perishing, when we see this process of changing, there are two ways to view this change. As when, as Buddha said, when we see disappearance or extinction, we negate the view of existence. But when we see arising, we negate the view of non-existence. But often, or usually, what we see is when we see things arise or appear, we grasp this appearing and that thing, and we have or we establish the view of existence. It's there. And when we see perishing, we establish the view of non-existence. So there are, based on one reality of changing or impermanence, we usually create the view because I see this, existence is really true, and we cling to this view, things are existence. But when we see perishing, when we see something cease to be, then we establish the idea or concept of mu, or non-existence, and we think this is a reality. So, and we think whether certain thing is U or Mu, or existence or non-existence. So there are two kind of opposite attitude. One is to negate the view, or being free from our fixed view, and another is create and grasp the view, existence and non-existence. That is a difference. And of course, what Buddha said is by seeing the changes, we negate the view, each view. Negate means being free from. So when we see a person is born, we think this person is existence. And when we see the same person die, then we see this person is no existence. This is how we create the concept of existence and non-existence. But what Buddha taught is we can see the same, exactly the same reality or phenomena of changing as kind of not a tool, but a teacher of seeing nothing is fixed, neither existence nor non-existence. U or existence is a negation of Mu. So this is he, Mu. And Mu is he, U. And he means U, and he, Mu, he, U, he, Mu. Neither existence nor non-existence is one of the definition of emptiness. If we are careless, we think emptiness is non-existence, but that is not true. Emptiness is negation of neither U or either both U and Mu, and yet embracing both U and Mu. Because when we negate U, then we see Mu, and when we negate Mu, we see U. So U and Mu are there, and yet they are not really there. That is what middle way means. That means we see from both sides. we don't grasp certain things in certain fixed view, but we see, in this case, from two sides, U and Mu, both. We negate both, and we affirm both, embrace both. That is how we see our life. So, as I said, these 5 skandhas, my 5 skandhas, is called Shōhaku, and as I may write in my resume, I was born certain place in certain year, and I was raised as a Japanese and received certain education, and I became a Buddhist, and I became a Buddhist monk, and now I'm a Buddhist teacher. That kind of things is who Shōhaku is. But such Shōhaku as a Japanese Buddhist priest or teacher is not really existing. It's a concept. I'm a Buddhist teacher only when I teach. Without teaching, there's no such teacher. So, even I can point list up all those kind of aspect of this person. But when we take all those aspects as an element, then nothing is there. I'm a Buddhist priest, I'm a husband and a father of my children, and when I go to a shop, I'm a customer. In each situation, who I am is different. And when we take all those elements out, then there's no such things called a Shōhaku. Or this is only 5 skandhas, collection of 5 skandhas, and depending upon the relation with other people or things within certain situation, the name of these 5 skandhas different. So if I think I am a Buddhist teacher, so I have to be respected by all people, then I make a mistake. I'm not such a person. But often we cling to this is me as a kind of a self-identity. Self-identity is important, so I make effort to be in the way I can function as a Buddhist priest. That's why I practice and study and work with other people. So I make effort, but I don't. If I think I am 100% Buddhist teacher, then that is ignorance, that is illusion. We must be free from that kind of grasping. That is a two sides. One is we have to make effort to be who I am. In my case, here I'm a Buddhist teacher, so I try to educate myself and keep studying what I have to teach. Not only studying and understanding, but I have to practice it. Without practicing, teaching about what Buddha taught doesn't make so much sense. So when I talk about what Buddha taught, I have to do it. So we need both understanding and practicing, actual practice. Otherwise, I cannot teach. So I have to make effort, and I have been trying to do my best. But actually, there's no such, Buddhist teacher. So this is a two sides of reality, and we should not negate either. And yet, if we grasp one side, then I make a mistake. So I see our life always from both sides, wu and mu, and depending upon our tendency or our personality, we have a tendency either this side or that side. We go too often go this side or that side. So that's why we need a middle way. I think that is the basis or basic point of this teaching of Buddha. So let me read sentence by sentence. This self, as an independent being, this self is kind of independent. I'm not you, and you are not me. So I have to live out these 5 skandhas. I cannot live other person's 5 skandhas. And when I find this five skandhas is me, this 5 skandhas is not blank. But when I became a teenager, that means when I started to think as me and what I want to do, these 5 skandhas are already, in a sense, painted for almost 90%. I was already a Japanese. I was already as a child of certain, people, certain fixed particular parents, and I studied already at a certain school, and I was taught with certain teachers, and I lived in certain situation of Japanese society. So I think almost 90% was already fixed. But using that fixed 5 skandhas as a kind of a material or indulgence expression paints. I have to use these 5 skandhas as a paint, and also the situation in the world I was living. I have to paint my life. So both painted and painting. That is what I think Dogen said in Shobogenzo Gabyo, or painted or painting rice cake. So we need to see our life always from both sides, and we have certain independence, and I have to work hard to, how can I say, to create this independent being, not so harmful to ourselves and to others. If possible, helpful, or in a way I can make some contribution. So in certain degree, we are independent being. But this independent self as independent being is simply a collection of elements. But insofar as it possesses some form as a particular collection, I have my particular collection, it is not non-existence. So there's no such fixed entity as Shōhaku or Buddhist teacher doesn't exist. But as a phenomena, as a collection of elements and causes and condition with all beings, I am a certain independent person. So I have to create my own unique way of life. And that is, I think that is what I have been doing. Especially, Okumura taught, even within the relation with teacher and disciples or student, we cannot imitate the teacher. Okumura said he couldn't imitate Shōhaku Roshi. He had to create his own style of practice and own way of life, using his own 5 skandhas. So we cannot say this 5 skandhas doesn't exist. This is the point of the scriptural passage from the Nikaya, quoted earlier. Truly seeing the aggregation of the world, and we see in this world things are getting together and form certain, become certain form or certain existence, certain person. The view of non-existence, does not arise. So we become free from the view that this and that exist. And another side is, but if this present self, this self is non-existence, existent, can we say that it is a constantly entity? I'm sorry, constant entity means permanent entity. Is Shōhaku or Shōhaku as a Buddhist teacher permanent entity? And of course the answer is no. So he said no, rather it is breaking apart and changing into a new form moment after moment. So when I put on my robe and come down to the Zendo, I'm a Buddhist priest or teacher. But when we go up and took off my robes, then I'm not a Buddhist teacher anymore. When I'm working on translation, I'm a translator. And when I'm writing a book, I'm a writer. And when I live with my family, I'm a husband and a father. So those are like a robes. We change. So moment by moment, we change. So this is not really a constant entity, and also, the mental and physical condition of our five skandhas are always changing. Especially after I became 60, each year or even each day, I feel difference. When I was very young, from until I became 10 years old, I feel difference. Each year or each day, I grew up, getting bigger. So I could see the change until I became maybe 10 to 12. Or when I became 15 years old, my body, my height is fixed. And after that, my body doesn't, the change is not so obvious. Since I was 15 to 60, the change was not so obvious. So I feel, I can do certain things and I cannot do certain things. But after I became 60, things I can do without thinking is getting smaller and smaller. So each year and even each day, I feel difference. So impermanence become really reality. So I don't know how many more years or how many more days I can be who I am, or even moment by moment. I'm becoming not me. I become something else. And sooner or later, I disappeared. So, it's really difficult and interesting thing. Still I have to work as a Buddhist teacher. So I try to, do my best. But I'm not sure when I cease to be a Buddhist teacher, sooner or later. So this process is really interesting. And if I died before I became 60, I couldn't see or experience this process of impermanence. So in a sense, I'm sorry for Dogen. Dogen died when he was 53. For him, impermanence is so quick, so early. So he didn't experience, this, to me, very interesting and I think somehow precious part of our life. So I feel very lucky that I still can practice, but I cannot practice in the way I could when I was 20 years, 30 years, or 40 years, or 50 years. But somehow I can experience this process of aging as a practice. And this is what Dogen couldn't do that. So what I'm doing is kind of very interesting to me. Until I become 60, Dogen is my goal, or Dogen is a kind of a big mountains I have to climb. even though I became older than Dogen, he's still very high mountain, and I felt like I'm not climb so high. But after I became 60, Dogen is younger than me. And what I'm living, the life I'm living might be very different from what Dogen experienced. So to me, this process of aging, I don't think I'm no good anymore. When we think to practice in certain fixed way is a good practice, and if we cannot practice intense practice like I did, then we feel we are not good anymore. But at least as a Dharma, it's not such a good and not so good, or superior or inferior discrimination. But to practice with young, healthy and strong body and mind, and practice with not so young anymore, not so strong anymore, body and mind is another very precious thing. So I feel fortunate that I can practice with this change or impermanence. To do so, I have to be free from my concept or my idea of what I could do in my 20s or when I was young, and who I was. Otherwise, we feel I'm not good anymore. But so we have to let go or open our hand about who I was in the past. And I have to accept who I am at this moment. And we have to be creative and find what I can do, not what I could do. If I think what I could do was better than what I can do, then our life is not good anymore. But that is a kind of a discrimination. So, in each stage of our life, we just do our best and being creative and what we can do. This kind of attitude that if we only think this side of our life, just progress, there's no progress anymore after 60s. So we feel we are not worth to live anymore. But if we only see, foolish peace of mind, then we become lazy and lifeless. So we really need the middle way in which we accept the changes of each stage of our life and do our best and live and work diligently. So to me, this teaching of Buddha, being free from either views, I think it's really important and helpful for us. Anyway, so second one is, rather it is breaking apart and changing into a new form, moment by moment. This is the meaning of truly seeing the non-substantiality of the world. The view of existence does not arise. So in each moment or within each experience, we become free from either views instead of grasping this or that views. that makes our life more kind of flexible. The next paragraph. Consequently, the Buddha said, being apart from these two extremes, so he said these are two extreme views. The views based on existence or non-existence. The Tathagata, the enlightened one, teaches the Dharma of the middle way. So this is the meaning of middle way. This means that our very own life cannot be grasped as an existing lamp. Existing lamp, LUMP, something fixed entity, nor as non-existence. But this is a movement or happening or process. Nothing is fixed, and yet we cannot say there's nothing exists. We are living here within this process of changing. So the middle way is nothing other than seeing seeing interdependence as it is. Seeing interdependence as it is means, when I explain, talks about true reality of all beings, mentioned in the Lotus Sutra. I use the analogy of a seed and the process of growth, and when it fully matured, it becomes a big tree and have flowers and bear fruits. And when we are not mature, we need help from others. Those are called conditions. And when we see seed and matured plant, we see cause and result. And these relation with other things is conditions. And within the process of this maturity, when we are young, we need so many support, help from other beings, especially human beings. When we are born, we are very immature stage. For almost more than 10 years, we cannot live independently. We need support from my parents and family and society. So we receive many support. But when we become fully matured and bloom flowers and bear fruits, we have something to offer to the world. This is what interdependence means. One time we receive so many things, and when we become mature, we can offer or contribute something. This is what interdependence means. And what Buddha and Dogen said is, without this connection or relation, there is no such fixed independent being. So that to the middle way is nothing other than seeing interdependence as it is. And moment by moment, it is seeing our life as it is. So within the time, our life is changing. When our life is changing, the relation with other things are also changing. That is how, me, this person, and the life of this person with other people or other things are changing. That is what Okumura Roshi said. When we are born together with this entire world. And when we die together with this entire world. My particular relation between this being and other things, other beings, are very unique. So my world, in which me and all other beings are interconnected, and your world, in which you and other beings are interconnected, are very different world. And that is very precious. We cannot exchange. So seeing this process as just a process, without grasping any side or aspect as me or they or we and other there. Without being caught up in our thought. But I think the function of our thinking is to grasp, to fix. So thinking or thought using concept and logics is like taking a photo to me. And when it became photo. For example, when we take a photo of a baby, the baby in that photo doesn't change anymore. But the actual baby is different baby from the baby in the photo. But when we think using concept doesn't change. When I think certain thing is good, then in my photo of concept, this thing is always changing, always good. When once I think, this thing is not useful, and when we input, this thing is not useful, then as a concept, this thing is not good forever. That is how the world of thinking created, and that doesn't change. If we have the change of that world, I think we experience really terrible pain. Once we have a fixed world of our thinking. If it gradually changes, it's okay. But when we have to change this, suddenly, it's really difficult and painful. We cannot keep our, self-identity. So it's important to take care of, to update our way of viewing things, the kind of a picture of the world, gradually. But often we don't update until we become too old to fix it. That's why we feel I'm not good anymore. My picture of the world doesn't function. Still, I have a fixed picture of the world. So the real world doesn't make sense to me. I sometimes feel in that way. Especially when I use computer. I don't want to learn anymore. I want to continue to live within my picture of the world. I don't care about the real world that is too much advanced to me. Well, anyway, this is what I have to say this morning. Any question or comments, please?
In Zazen, we sit moment by moment, and that's what we're doing, letting go of thoughts. And then I see ni mu and ni u, or he mu and he u, and I think that we don't think about the future, but is there anything that Dogen said about the moment of death? It seems like on the one hand it's another moment simply, and that like when we're sitting it's kind of death, and so it wouldn't be different from that. But on the other hand, it is the moment I think when all our skins fall apart, and so so it is a kind of a different moment. Is there anything said about that moment?
You mean, did Dogen say something about the moment of dying?
Maybe, and also what you think?
Well, Dogen wrote this poem, in Chinese, and this poem is in my comments on the last work poem in the book we made, the 4 seasons. And in this poem, Dogen said, "I fall into the yellow spring, that is the world of death." He said, being alive, I jump into this yellow spring. So still, changing and not changing are both there. Still alive means, of course, he doesn't think, even after death, his soul is still alive. But this is a process of life. But we jump into yellow spring, or the world of death. But actually he couldn't write a poem after his death.
Or at the moment.
So we don't really know what this is like. But in that sense, I think, this death at the end of this lifetime, and kind of moment by moment changes are not so different. When we let go of our concept of who I am, when we grasp, this as me with certain definition, then when we think, this definition or this identity is lost, then when we grasp this, hard, it's really painful to ungrasp. I think that is a fear against the death. Besides the physical, of course, physical pain might be difficult, of course, to experience, but mental suffering about dying is that something we grasp as very important and precious. We have to open our hand. But when we practice Zazen and letting go of thought, or opening hand of thought, how can I say, constantly, then we don't need to feel so much fear, I think, because this is simply one process of changing. So I feel I'm lucky that I have been practicing since I was young, and I continued. So my death is not the end of it's not really dead end. But even these 5 skandhas disappeared, or dispersed, people continue to practice. And I can live within those people's practice, as I feel, Okumura Roshi is still alive within my and other people's practice. I can live, my life continues in other people's practice. So I don't need to feel so much fear. Well, is this answer to your question?
Yes, and it seems that we're lucky to be getting older and that we can sort of let go moment by moment also of being alive.
But to do so, we need to do a lot of effort. Okay. Anything else? Please.
So you were talking earlier that you said that there, at times you are a Buddhist priest, at times you are a Buddhist translator or a family man. In each of those moments, doesn't the other aspects of yourself also inform it? Like when you're a Buddhist priest, when you're a Buddhist translating, aren't you also a Buddhist priest translating and a Buddhist family man translating kind of thing?
Yeah, of course. I'm what I'm doing, but still, as a family person or as a teacher, all the experience I have is there. So even when I'm translating, I'm not really a translator. That is.
It's just translating.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else? Okay, this is the last Sunday of this year. I think we had a good practice. We had a different kind of session and retreat and Sunday activities and other activities. And I think this year we had a good things, our practice, our activities went well. So I'd really like to say thank you to all of you for coming here and practice with me. And I hope Happy New Year. Okay.